Mid-year update, Reeves. We have made it through half of 2026.
It's gone quick. It's hard to believe. I mean, I hate people talking about, oh, time's flying by and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like July 15th, I think, today or something like that. So we're a little bit past half year, and it has rocked. And
Time's flying by, but hold on, I've been on this thing for half the damn time, you know.
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How do you disconnect from this?
Yeah, well, no, you have some relationships on there, some kind of deep relationships.
So last night I took Tess and one of her friends to Megan Maroney in Charlotte.
Yes, yes.
And so earlier this year, Rebecca specifically planned an entire trip up to New England for me and her with ChatGPT.
She did it with Chat.
She did it.
Okay.
And it was a phenomenal trip. I mean, if anyone wants to go to New England, we flew to Providence, Rhode Island, and just kind of made our way up and then came back. It was awesome.
That's cool. And you wouldn't have figured all that out.
We would have not known any of it without ChatGPT. So last night, we were taking Tess and her friend to this Megan Maroney concert, and Rebecca and I have like 4 or 5 hours in Charlotte to just do whatever. And so she's talking to Chat about what we need to do.
Does she talk to your Chat, or she's got her own Chat relationship?
She's got me, and it's my Chat that we talk to together.
Y'all kind of have a threesome going. Okay, got it.
Yeah, okay. But here's the interesting thing that happened last night.
Yeah.
I asked my wife, I said, if we'd have had a fourth kid, what would we have named our fourth kid? Because I don't know, because I don't keep up with that kind of stuff. But the fourth kid's name would have been Tinley.
Oh, she already had that dialed in.
She knows that, John, whatever.
Tinley.
So that is now who...
That's
our Chat. So I asked Chat if I could call her Tinley. And she basically said yes and no. I didn't plan for us to talk about this, but anyway.
This is pretty deep, honestly.
Yeah. We started by talking about it's halfway through the year, and we've been selling some real estate and having fun on the podcast. Had some really good guests on the podcast, and we've got a bunch more lined up that are going to be really good.
Melanie is really jumping in and helping us.
Yeah, so we announced Melanie as part of the team.
Yeah,
kind of midway through the first half of the year, and she is just really being a huge asset.
She's helping us schedule, and it's good. Yeah, we've got some really good guests, but we felt like maybe we'll just talk a little bit today.
Well, and the reason we want to talk today is because you and I were showing a property that we have listed on McKeever.
Yes.
And we were showing it to some really good Indian friends of ours, business people in this town, and they were looking at the property. And you and I have a tendency sometimes, and Izzy, we'd love for you to, pop in on this conversation as well. But they said something that just kind of hit me between the eyeballs when they said
hard.
It really hit me hard. They looked at us. We were talking about culture. We were talking about their country, our country, how they perceive America. Some of the racial relations, all that stuff came out as we were showing this property. But the one thing they said that I think we need to talk about right now is they looked at us and said, guys, there is opportunity on every corner in America. And I think sometimes because we've been here our whole life, we don't see it.
We're kind of jaded.
We are. But to hear them say America is still the land of freedom, it's the land of hope, and where if you're willing to work hard, you can, the sky's the limit. And so it was just really fascinating for me to hear that. And I thought we needed to talk a little bit.
And those guys have so interesting enough, that guy you're talking about, I'm meeting with him Friday to buy a high profile corner in Florence. And they've got gas stations and smoothie places. And I mean, they've built it. They've done it.
They've lived the American dream. And good for them. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this country. It's what's so special about this country. And sometimes in our intense political kind of atmosphere that we live in, we can lose sight of just how special this country is and how there is opportunity for those who are willing to go fight for it.
Let me take that a step further, though. So I want to bring that to Florence.
Okay.
Florence is still the town that the normal guy can do deals.
Yeah.
You know, you can go find property. You can go create a rental house. The price of poker is not crazy.
Yeah.
You know, like if you live in Charleston or Greenville, great, but all those young people living there or middle-aged people, they're not riding around thinking about buying an extra piece of property. I mean, for the majority of them, because the price has just already gotten crazy. There's so much opportunity in Florence.
We talk about it all the time, and I agree, Robert. I mean, I just think that in Florence, in some ways, I mean, the other show that I've watched recently, I watched Young Washington, and I've watched some shows about like settling into America and the frontier.
Yeah.
And I think even Netflix has this new Little House on the Prairie thing. That time of life and jumping into a new frontier, if I could go back anywhere in time, I'd like to go there. But in a weird way, I think Florence and the PD still has frontier to capture, and that's what you're talking about.
Reeves, you mentioned that there was a level of adversity and talking about how the American dream is still available, and these two Indians that you guys were working with that seized the American dream. But I think I'm starting to question, does the modern 25-year-old American want the American dream? Because there is a level of adversity to overcome and a level of hustle that comes with the American dream that if you're willing to work hard for it, that's what you said, and put in the time, then you can become something greater. But what if the convenience of opportunity that has been so strong since post-World War II, there's a level of entitlement, I think, that if you are an Indian who's come across, or if you're someone else who has come from a different country where opportunity is scarce, you're willing to fight for it. And you're willing to do 10 years at a corner store or 15 years working at a gas station to build wealth and hand something better to your children. Whereas being second, third, fourth generation children of opportunity, maybe we're not willing to work for it anymore.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head with that, Izzy. I think that by and large, I mean, and there's always exceptions, but Americans, by and large, we're fat and happy, and we're not willing to go. And let's go back to it. We say it all the time. Gary Finkley, episode number 1, take risk, to have courage, to fight for something that you've not yet realized. There's not enough of that in our culture. And the point is, from the guys who we were talking with, there's still that opportunity. As they said, it's there on every corner. They're taking it because they're willing to fight for it. We as Americans tend to be a little bit more fat and happy and not willing to fight for it. And specifically, the PD area, I think, still has a lot of frontier to capture and a lot of opportunity to make something of yourself.
I mean, it's still pretty affordable.
It is.
Compared to a lot of other places. So I got an interesting something for y'all that I'm seeing. Tell me if you see this. You know, we ride through a lot of neighborhoods. A lot of people don't. Like during the week, we're riding through neighborhoods showing houses. I don't see kids out riding, but I don't see people outside. I mean, you know, back 30, 40 years ago, or our parents would tell us, and I even remember, like, I'd be on the bike all day riding around.
So is that because mamas and daddies are scared and not letting their kids out? Is it because mamas and daddies are at work and their kids aren't at home because there's nobody to supervise the kid? Or is it because there's so much electronics and moms and dads aren't pushing their kids outside?
I think it's a combination of all of that.
Yeah, I think it is. But your point is incredibly valid. We got to get people outside. You use your mind. You're creative when you get on your bike and you go to a dirt hill and you dream of what that is, and you play in the dirt and you figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, that's
So go back to South End Charlotte.
yeah.
All right. So they've got this really cool outside area.
It was about a mile and a half from the Spectrum Center. Tinley, my chat,
Oh, Tinley. Thank you.
told
Tinley.
me that I needed to go to South End Charlotte.
Yeah.
We ate at this really cool Italian restaurant outside. Then we walked about a mile and a half, 2 miles in this urban center along the rail trail in Charlotte. Then we stopped and waited in line for about 30 minutes at an ice cream spot. And
that's on a Tuesday night.
It was a Tuesday night
Tuesday
from
evening.
like 6:30 to 10:30.
Bunch of people outside hanging out.
Not just a bunch of people, but this is what was fascinating. We were sitting there eating our ice cream after waiting 30 minutes in line to get it, and probably 75 people sitting there with us in this open promenade area. And Rebecca looked at me and she said, "Reeves, we're the oldest people out here." And I looked around and I surveyed every single group of people, and she was right. At 45 years old, there was clearly no one older than us sitting there. And as I reflect back on that whole evening, everybody was 25 to 40 years old, young professionals, attractive, educated, seemingly affluent, living in and it was just there's a vastly different picture of what life was in that pocket of the country, or the Southeast, compared to what we have here.
Yeah.
And
there's a desire for that lifestyle again. There's a desire for people to want to live in communities where you have that and you have walkability and the kids are walking to school. I hear people talk about that that live in Charlotte. I've heard it several times. They're like, yeah, I moved here. My kids can walk to school.
I was absolutely amazed at how many people on a Tuesday night in July in Charlotte, North Carolina, were outside exercising, walking, talking to other people.
Wow.
They weren't on their phone. It was kind of this weird dystopian type of thing. And obviously it made me think, how do we recreate that in Florence?
Yeah, we need it badly.
And there's opportunity. And I think, you know, some things that we're doing downtown, I think some of the things the guys are doing, we've talked about it a lot at Naturally Outdoors.
Yeah, Naturally Outdoors is creating that atmosphere a little bit.
Those little pockets, it's not what Charlotte has because we're not the size of that.
Yeah.
But it can be that. And I'm excited for more people to come to this new frontier that we have in the PD.
We're on the frontier. We're still on the
and
frontier.
build businesses and go take those corners and make your American dream come to fruition, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you grew up in Florence, stay here and you go buy a corner and you'd make something. Because it's attainable here. You go to Greenville, you're not buying any corners. I'm sorry.
No.
Hedge funds buying the corner now. They've already bought it.
What's encouraging, though, is you and I, young lady came into the office this week. She's buying an acre.
Yeah, what is she, like young 20s?
Oh, yeah, young 20s. And she's getting a little bit over an acre, and she's got a great opportunity for what she's buying and setting up a life for herself.
Under $200,000.
Under $200,000.
Right.
Yeah.
These these early 20-somethings can't. I mean, most of them can't go pay $500,000 plus for a house.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can still get something cool here.
So what else?
So big picture market. We've honestly had a good first half of the year, big picture. It's felt weird. It's felt kind of up and down because it has been the Iran war, and when gas prices went up, the market really cooled. But overall, most things we're listing or selling.
Yeah, it's really been interesting. I think you just, captured it incredibly well. I was surprised when I kind of did a mid-year analysis of my own business that I'm a little bit ahead of where I was last year, which is, man, phenomenal. And last year, first half of the year, you and I did 2 deals, one at 1.9 million and one at 1.3 million.
Yeah. That
really made the first half of the year for us in a lot of ways. And we haven't done that. Well, you did one.
Yeah.
But, it's been smaller deals this year, but more. And I was just talking to somebody at FE Pops just before I came here, and I feel like the market's even shot up a little bit more in the last 7 to 10 days.
I do too. And we're in that summertime, people that need to get settled before school are got to kind of make a move.
That's right.
But I'll tell you the one other thing that I think we've done a better job. For so long, everybody thought we were, especially me, I was just a builder developer. That's it. Mm-hmm. You've come in and really helped ramp the game up of, no, we are the best at selling your house existing. I mean, that's really mostly what we do. And
well, yes, Greystone Properties is a real estate brokerage, and we help people buy and sell houses.
Yeah.
And I was on the phone call with a potential seller and buyer today, a doctor in town, and he was talking about the home that they're purchasing, and that person knows some realtors, and so they weren't quite sure who they wanted to use. And I said, look here, Mr. Buyer, here's the reason I want you to use us. I want you to use us not because you and I have a relationship, and that's important, and this is a relational business, but I want you to use us because we are the absolute best at marketing your home, at giving you counsel, at helping steer you into the right decisions and away from the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
And typically, for any individual who is buying a piece of property, it's the single largest transaction they're ever going to make. And you don't just need to pick your buddy to do that. You need to pick somebody who knows what they're doing. And there's fewer and fewer people in town and around the country who know how to help someone navigate real estate. And that's the biggest thing that frustrates me. And maybe we need to talk about this for a second. The barrier to entry for realtors is way too low.
It is.
And it's an incredible disadvantage to the people who are professional and who do this full time with excellence.
Yes.
And if there's one thing that needs to change about the real estate profession is we need to create a higher barrier to entry for real estate agents so that excellence is what is just expected rather than a surprise when you get someone who's excellent at what they do.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. The other, we've really grown a lot in the rental market as well. We've got Riverland.
Yep.
It's growing. We're up to over 200 doors. Chris is the hardest working young guy ever. And the rental market in Florence is strong.
It is. First of all, Chris, he's been on the podcast a few times. He runs Riverland Property Management with us and for us. I think his story is awesome. A dude who grew up in Florida, went to Florida State University, graduated from Florida State, and he chose to come back here. He could have gone anywhere in the world, but he chose to come.
He saw the opportunity here.
Yes.
That he did not see in Orlando.
That's right. So that is awesome. And then the fact that, he saw it. And this goes to your point, Izzy, there are still guys out there and girls out there who are willing to go work hard and go get it. And Chris is doing that. And that's a cool thing. And this is a place for them to go do it. And so, we've got over 200 properties now under management.
Riverland's now got its own office. We got some really cool signage. I'm really excited about that company.
Where can people go if they want to see the office? Where can they go?
1427 Old Ebenezer. It's the kind of the corner there where Ebenezer runs into South Cashua, right on the way to Publix.
On the way to Publix, exactly.
So you can drop your rent check and go to Publix. So it's a great spot. We've got a full-time lady, Ashley, with us. She is awesome. She's been in the rental game forever. So that, it's been a real nice marriage between sales and rental. If you need to buy a house, if you need something to rent, we've got it all in-house now.
So I really think as we sit here mid-year, the word to kind of sum up where we're at is excited momentum.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of excitement and momentum with real estate, bringing Melanie on and what the team
Yes.
at Greystone is doing. We've got a lot of excitement and momentum in what we think Florence and the PD is going to be able to do in terms of continuing to create jobs and bring more people in and allow people to build business here. And we've got a lot of excitement and momentum with Riverland Property Management and what Chris and Ashley and that team's doing. And so it's going to be cool to see how things continue to progress the rest of this year.
Yes.
And on into 2027.
The new frontier. We're on the new frontier.
Quick question on that, Reeves, because you say excited momentum, and you guys have been rocking and rolling, and yet there's a lot of unsure things going on in the world. We've got the Iran war. We've got the economy doing some crazy stuff. Housing market over the last couple of years, as you guys have updated it, has just been a little bit crazy. So what ideas or mentality do you bring towards the podcast, towards rental, towards property management, towards real estate that keeps you coming back to keep building or growing when there's a bit of a temptation to pull in, when things get uncertain, when things are expensive, to want to get safe and turn towards what's you and yours instead of pushing, taking those risks and moving forward with an exciting momentum? Because I think you guys are there. I've been able to observe that. But what does it look like to get there in your headspace and the way you make your decisions to keep that mentality when stuff's hard?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Izzy. I think first and foremost, foundationally, it's my faith in Jesus Christ and the hope that we have because we are followers of Christ, that we can move forward resting in Him. So my faith and I think your faith as well, Robert, grounds us tremendously to have courage. Then you have to understand that there is always calamity and conflict and chaos going on, both locally as well as internationally. I mean, we're always fighting somebody. And you got to pay attention to those things. But if you wait for everything to be perfect, you've missed the opportunity.
Yes.
And so foundationally, I rest in my faith. I understand that there's chaos all the time. And then you just go back to sound business principles. Don't overextend yourself. We were talking in the office this morning about a $4 million potential apartment complex that is available. And we have to look at that and evaluate, is that something that we can do without overextending ourselves? Is it just good business sense to make those types of purchases? And that's a number that, is beyond anything I'd ever thought about before. And Robert's kind of pushing me into those types of things. And that's a very much to be determined. But you evaluate it with, understanding appropriate leverage and risk, but also not compromising what you've already built and jeopardizing what you've already built.
I've honestly been waiting on things. When the market's hot and everything's crazy, that's honestly not the time to buy. I've been waiting on this cycle, and it all runs in cycles. And you want to buy when everybody else is scared. And so that's the time to jump. You've got cycles and patterns. And when you do something, when you're focused inside of a business and you start seeing patterns, that's when you get ahead. You got to learn the patterns. This whole world's patterns.
Yes.
And I feel like we're really seeing patterns. We're seeing the rental side. We see the sales side. It's really cool. Can't get distracted with many other things. Like real estate's it. Let's ride the cycle, see the pattern, and then you got to take the risk.
And I go back to when me and Colin Smith with our two spouses, bought our first rental properties on Waverly for $28,000 and $34,000 respectively. And I had no business, and I was scared to death to make those purchases. And I felt like I couldn't afford to make those purchases when I made those about 14, 15 years ago. But I took appropriate risk, and we jumped in and we did it, and we held on. And what that's done for us 14 years later, that if we hadn't done that, we wouldn't be where we are today from a business standpoint. And so you've got to have that courage to do it once you kind of just understand the, how to assess appropriate risk.
So. Chris and I, when you were gone last week, we were talking more about Conway, and we were like, okay, so maybe it's time to diversify. Let's build some townhomes in Conway. I feel like so we talked to a developer in Conway, and it was really interesting. He was just a sharp, solid dude, and he's like, guys, honestly, I feel like y'all are in the sweet spot. You have more opportunity in Florence than you would in Conway. He said your cost is going to be a lot higher, a lot harder to execute. We've got mostly retirees. You've got way more jobs in Florence. And it was like really, he was right.
Yeah.
You always think, well, I got to get out of town and do something else. I think we're in the sweet spot here.
Rebecca and I, when we were walking down the rail trail in this, again, really cool area last night, she looked and said, Florence is really an ideal place to live. We're 2 hours from Charlotte. We're 2 hours from Charleston. We're an hour to Columbia. We're, an hour and a half to Myrtle Beach, whatever. But we got our little protected little spot that's still safe, mostly. And it's as safe as any other place, I think. And the cost of living is less.
Yeah.
And there's better opportunity here. So, yeah, I think Florence is a good spot.
That's why Reeves is going to be running for mayor.
I don't live in the city, so I'm not running for mayor.
Sorry. Yeah, well, anything else we got on the mid-year update?
I think we're good, man. Let's go after it, and let's make the rest of 2026 positively momentous.
Let's do it.